Hello and welcome to a new video from Skolera Training Videos. In our video today we're going to cover how as a teacher I can create online quizzes and how can I use these online quizzes to reduce the amount of work that I have to do. To get to the quizzes we need to actually choose the course. Again, you have the two choices, either to go to it from here by clicking on new quiz and selecting the course that you want, or you go to the courses directly from my courses and then going to online quizzes from here. Now, to create a quiz, you just click on Create New Quiz. As usual, we will add the normal data, the name of the quiz. So we'll call this Quiz 1. Okay. Publish date, when do you want this quiz to be shown to the students? We're going to leave this at now, as it is. If we want it later, of course, we can click on later and select a different date and time for it. The due date, when is this due? Let's say it's open till the 20th of the month and at 1 p.m. And we set that. The assigned students, I can send it to the entire class, or like we did in assignments, I can select that it only goes to particular students in the class. By clicking on this arrow, we see the list of students again. We'll go to uncheck all, and then I want to send this to Yassine and to Lara, for example. I want to send this quiz only to those two. Okay. Once again, we choose the grading category and the grading periods. Does it belong to trimester 1, 2, or 3? Does it belong to homework, classwork, or projects? This will depend entirely on the grading system applied on your course. Different courses might have different grading systems. Now, at the bottom, we have the maximum number of attempts. How many times will we allow the students to try to submit or solve this quiz? The minimum is 1 and the maximum is 6. But we can choose any number between them. So let's say if we say 5 attempts. Now, when it goes over 1 attempt, this question pops up. Which grade? Now, the student is allowed to solve this 5 times. Which grade will we consider as part of the grading book? Which grade will be the final evaluation of the student? Is it the highest grade, lowest grade, average, or the median? You can select whichever one of these you want. If you're a nice teacher, of course, you'll go to highest grade. If you're slightly mean, you would go for the last grade or maybe the median. Okay, but anyway, the highest grade is the one we're going to use for now. Then you move on to the next step. On the next step, you decide where do you want to place this quiz. If it's something related to the entire curriculum, we will use general. Otherwise, we can select the main topic that it belongs to, which lesson it belongs to, what learning objectives does it cover, and so on. Then we will move on to the next step. Here's where we start creating the questions for the quiz. Now we have 7 different types of questions, 6 of which are automatically corrected by the system. The one type which is not corrected by the system is the essay questions. Okay, so let's start. We're going to try and do one of each type of these questions. The first type we have is multiple choice. Okay, so question 1 is going to be multiple choice. In multiple choice, you would write the statement or a header for the questions. Let's say here, select the liquid from the list. Select the liquid from the list. And then I'm going to add the options that the students will select from down here. Now remember, this is multiple choice, which means there can only be one correct answer. So I start adding my choices. Here we will go for wood. Second choice will be oxygen. I want to add another choice, so I'm going to add another choice. Third choice will be oil. Add another choice. Fourth choice is sand. Now, which of these is the correct answer? We have wood, oxygen, oil, and sand. Which one is the correct answer? The correct answer is oil, so we mark next to oil that this is the correct answer. Now, what actually happens in the background when the students answer this question, if they selected the same answer that I said, or you as a teacher said, is the correct answer, they get the points for this question. If they don't get the points for it. Now, where do the points go? Right at the bottom. We can put a Bloom's taxonomy for this question if we want to. Okay? And whether I want this question to be worth 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, it's totally up to you. Okay? Unlike the assignments, when we create the assignments, we put the maximum grade for the assignment because the grades for the assignment are entered manually by us as teachers. Whereas in the quiz, the total mark for the quiz is the sum of the marks of the different questions in the quiz itself. So you just put the mark for each question and these add up to the total mark of the quiz. Now we've created the first question right there. We want to add a second question. We just click on Add New Question. We can either use the same type of question or move to another one. Here we go for true and false. True and false is really simple. You just write a statement. Cairo is the capital of Lebanon, for example. Cairo is the capital of Lebanon. Okay? Is this statement true or false? It's a false statement. So you just mark that the correct answer is false. And once again, you can add the Bloom's taxonomy and you can add points. The interesting part, you can also add pictures and images in the quiz. Either by embedding, just like we did before in the content, you can embed an image or even a video inside the question body, or you can add a side image from right here. Either solutions will work. Okay? Now that was the second type of question. Let's go to add another question, and this time we'll choose the third type, which is matching. Okay? Here, we'll write the head of the question again, so match the word to the correct meaning. We're matching between the word and the meaning. Need to correct that right there. Match the word to correct meaning. By the way, it could be matching word to word, it could be matching words to colors, it could be matching actually on one side you can write a word and on the other side an image. And this is especially useful for younger children. You can write apple on one side and put the image of an apple on the other side, and they have to match between them, or the number 1 written in letters and the number 1 written in numbers, and they have to match between them, and so on. But you can do all of this. Then here, in the matching, I will actually put the pairs in the correct match. So you'll write the word here. Let's say here, for example, we'll put, actually, let's do this huge. Okay, and the meaning for it is very big. Okay, so that's the correct match right there. And then in the second one, we'll say tiny, and that's very small. Okay, right there. Right? You can add other options as well. You can add more pairs if you want to, and so on. Now, what happens when this is displayed to the students? These ones, the actual matches, okay, are put in the same order, but the matchings on the other side are shuffled, and the student has to actually match them together correctly. Again, you can choose the Bloom's taxonomy and change the points for this if you want to. Okay? So that was the third type of question. Now let's go to the fourth type, and this time we will add a multi-select. Now the main difference between multiple choice and multi-select, in multiple choice there is one correct answer. Multi-select, there could be more than one correct answer. So here we would say, for example, select the verbs from the list. So we're going to write a list, and the student is expected to select the verbs from this list. First one we write here, for example, is run. Okay. Second one is door. Okay. Add a new option. Third one is, that's controversial, so let's write something else. Wide. Okay. Fourth one is play. Okay, you can add more options, of course, as much as you want. Now, which of these are actual verbs? Run is a verb and it's marked as correct. If it wasn't, I can uncheck it, but it is correct. Okay, and play is also a verb. Okay, so those are the two correct answers. Okay, So we finish this question in this case. Now again, we have some options in this case. Sometimes the student might get the 2 correct answers, he gets the full mark for this question, or he might get the 2 wrong answers, in which case he gets a 0 for the question. But what if he gets 1 right and 1 wrong? What do we do? Do we actually give him a 0 or do we give him half the mark? We let you decide as a teacher. If you notice this part that appears here, it says correct answer, accept partial answers. If you check this, then if the student gets one answer right and 1 answer wrong, he will get half the mark. If you do not check it, he has to get both correct answers or he gets a 0. You can change, of course, the points for this question if you want to. Let's make this out of 2, since there are 2 choices, and so on. Also, the Bloom's taxonomy, of course, you can do it. Now, I'm an evil teacher, so I'm not going to go for accept partial answers. I'm going to leave it just like that. Then let's go here to add new question. We'll go to the next type, the reorder question. Here you can ask the students to reorder something. Now, it could be historical events. So if you're teaching social studies, history, you can put it as historical events. It could be even words of a sentence, and they have to organize them in the correct way to come up with a meaningful sentence for really younger children. For mathematics, you can actually put like images of 3, let's say a circle, a triangle, and a diagonal or something like that, and ask them to order them according to the different areas, which means that they have to do the calculation for all 3 and then come up with the areas and then do the ordering. You can do all sorts of different things. But basically here, we'll ask them to order let's say the steps in this case. Even in science, you can put this as a list of steps in a scientific experiment, and they have to put the steps in the correct order. Now, when it comes to here, we will put our choices in the correct order. So we will write them in the correct order. So this will be step 1, followed by step 2, add another one, that is step 3, and so on. You can continue adding all the steps. And again, here also you have the accept partial answers. You might get 1 right and the other 2 wrong. So again, whether you want to accept partial answers or not. Let's be nice this time and we'll go for accept partial answers. You can fill in the Bloom's taxonomy, change the points as well if you want, and so on. Also, when this appears to the students, it will be shuffled and they will have to put them in the correct order. Actually, coming up to this point, everything that has choices, whenever it shows up to the students, it will be shuffled. Even if the same student reopens the quiz. Remember, the student has 5 attempts. Every time he opens one of these attempts, the choices are shuffled. If there are 2 students are answering the quiz at the same time, they don't have the same order of choices. Okay, so that makes it a little bit more interesting for them. Now, let's go to question 6, and here we will collect an essay question, for example. Now, the essay question, this is the one type of question we said that cannot be auto-corrected. Okay, it defies the idea of an essay. The idea of an essay is creativity for the students. So if you're going to auto-correct it and you have to ask them to stick to a particular answer in an essay question, that really removes away the creativity from it. But this way, we just write it. You can write whatever you like. Explain your view on, and you can whatever. I'm going to leave it blank. So whatever, you can choose whatever you write in there, and then the students in this case can write. We can put a model answer, but it will not be used as a reference for correcting the essay question. It will only be used as a reference for the students when they go, after they finish the quiz, to see the model answers, to see what was the correct answer they're expected to put. But it will not be used for auto-grading this type of question. Okay. Now to the last type of question, which is our comprehension question. Now, this is an interesting type of question. Quite often we might want to have a paragraph, so we'll put our paragraph right here. Okay, write out our paragraph or a video or an image or whatever we want, And then we will create a series of sub-questions underneath. In this case, this paragraph, whatever we write here, will stay in the screen in front of the students, and they can finish the sub-questions one by one till they finish the whole lot. The sub-questions could be any type of questions from the other types that we've mentioned before. Let's use a true and false one right here. And we just say true or false, basically. Okay? And the correct answer we expect from them is to be true right here, right there. If you want to add another sub-question, you can directly go to add a sub-question, or you can even go to something better, which is like clone this sub-question. It will create a second sub-question, sub-question 2, okay, which is cloned the exact same one, but this one will say that the answer here is false, for example, and so on. Okay? Now, this is how we create the different types of questions. We'll go through all the 7 types that we've created before, and we've seen how to create them. Now, notice a couple of things. First of all, you can move the order of these questions. If you want to reorder them, you can just drag and drop the questions one above the other. That's one thing. The other thing, look at the squares next to the questions here. If it says select one or more question to be added to your question bank, if you select these questions right there, okay, once you finish the quiz, when you're creating the quiz, these questions will be automatically added to the question bank. So you don't have to go and create them in the question bank, they will automatically be added there. What's more interesting, you can also import questions from the question bank. I already have questions in the question bank, and I want to add them onto this quiz. It will open up the question bank. You can select by a variety of fields the section that they belong to, the stage, the level, the course, the main subject, question type, difficulty level. If you know a question by number, you can go for it directly, by Bloom's taxonomy, even by objectives. Imagine that you could just write up here, I want all the questions that relate to the present simple, and it will basically list all the questions related to present simple from the different stages and years. But we have the list of the questions here. You can open each question to take a look at it and see what the choices you want in there. I like this question, so I want to add this question. You just tick on it. And I want a multiple choice or multi-select question as well. I like this question too, so I'm going to mark on those two, and we click on import. These questions will automatically be added in our question lists. Now we had up to question 7, and it automatically added those 2 questions. Not only this, I can make changes to these questions. I'm going to change whatever is written here, change that to something else, and I can tick it. It will be resaved in the question bank as a new question, automatically. Okay? Once we've done all of this and we checked all of our questions, we then move on to the next step. In our next step, it will display all the questions that we've created right there with what is marked as the correct answers. Okay, so we can double check them to make sure that it's all correct. We have a choice to actually randomize the questions. Okay, if we click on this, not only the choices will be shuffled, but the order of questions will also change for each time the quiz is opened. Then we can set the duration. Remember in the first page, we set the publish date, when will this quiz appear to the students, and the due date, the last time or date they're allowed to answer these questions or this quiz. However, from the minute he starts answering the quiz, it doesn't stay open to the end of the month. No, we can set the time. We want this to be open only for, let's say, 10 minutes. So every attempt that the student takes to try and solve this quiz, he will only have 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes are over, the quiz will be shut down and closed, and he can go for a second attempt if he likes to. Once we've done all this and we've checked all that and we're quite happy with it, we then click on create, and the quiz will be automatically created for us. Now, if we go to topic 1, we will see our quiz. From the 3 dots here, we can create a copy of the quiz. Remember, we won't be able to edit because it's already published to the students, but we can create a copy, we can delete it, we can preview it or print it as well if you want a hard copy of it. But most interestingly, you can also see it as a student, view it as a student. It will show the questions, the timer, how long is the quiz time in total, the countdown timer, how much time the student is left with, the total number of questions and which questions he solved, the number of questions that have been solved so far, and you can see all the questions. The total grade is 12 marks. Remember that it calculated the points for each question and added them up together to come up with the total grades in here. Okay. Now this is how we've seen how we can create the quiz, the different types of questions we can use in the quiz, how we can add questions we've added in a quiz to our question bank, and how we can import questions from the question bank to the quiz. Thank you for being with us today, and we hope to see you in future videos in Skolera training videos.